Hey, I'm Daniel Agudelo, and this summer I participated in the CRDIP Summer Internship Program at the Southeast Archaeological Center, located right here in Tallahassee, Florida. Coming in, I had several expectations and goals, but I'm glad to say that they were all met. I worked under the supervision of Mr. John Cornelison and Mrs. Meredith Hardy, and I wouldn't change that for the world, in part due to the extreme hands-on experience they provided for me. You can't really get any more hands-on than extreme hands-on, my friends. First 2 weeks, I was working at the compliance lab, sorting out artifacts that were found at a field project excavation in St. Augustine, as well as going in depth with the National Register of Historic Places. I was able to find a few interesting things, such as animal vertebrae, a cow tooth that might have possibly belonged to one of the first cows that were once brought by the Spaniards, a button, among other very neat artifacts. Southeastern American Indian ceramics also made a delightful appearance, delightful appearances in these artifact bags. I learned how to classify some types of pottery by not only their composition, but also by their design, or how they call it, stamp. This is what we usually do when we want to sort out different types of American Indian ceramics.
Let's check it out. Seems to be square, so check the stamp. Sand temper.
This might look like a scale model of Rome's the Colosseum, but don't let it fool you. This is actually the vertebrae of a 500-year-old sand shark that was found offshore in the same excavation that took place in St. Augustine. The following week, I was sent to work with the NAGPRA division of SEAC. NAGPRA stands for Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, and basically the purpose of this federal law is directed at federal agencies or museums who receive any type of federal aid to return certain American Indian cultural items, such as funerary objects, human remains, sacred objects, or objects of cultural patrimony, to the tribes in where they rightfully belong. In addition, NAGPRA authorizes federal grants to Indian tribes, NHOs, and museums to assist with the documentation and repatriation of Native American or American Indian cultural items. Finally, it also establishes the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Review Committee. As that week began to dwindle down to about Thursday, I began learning some bioarchaeology with an osteologist who happens to also work at SEAC. She was able to set up a workstation for me to classify bones. Something that I found interesting was the name of a machine used to measure the mandible, which is called the mandibulometer. Sheesh, try saying that quickly 3 times. What else? Oh, yeah. Next on my list was the museum/curation lab. I worked there for 2 whole weeks, sorting out more artifacts that were then to be sent to curate. I also helped locate archives in the temperature-controlled space SEAC has. I also got lost inside the temperature-controlled space SEAC has because it is humongous. For the remaining few weeks, I went back to compliance, in which my supervisor resides over, and was sent to Horseshoe Bend National Military Park, located in Alabama, for a remote sensing field project that SEAC had planned to do. The purpose of this project was to essentially find the actual location of a barricade that was built by the Creeks to protect themselves from Andrew Jackson's militia. It was from 5 to 8 feet in height and quite thick around, thus being able to resist some cannon action from the American colonist side. Andrew Jackson's militia ultimately won, and the Creeks were forced to secede over 23 million acres of land, which comprises of present-day Alabama, parts of Georgia. In this trip, they taught me the basics of geophysics and how to operate machines that do such things as sensing. I also used the resistivity machine as well as the GPR, or the ground penetrating radar, to detect differences in the soil. Let's enjoy some epic war music, just to add to the ambiance, to the vibe. Closing remarks. I'd like to thank my SEAC team, Mr. Cornelison, Mrs. Hardy, Jessica McNeil, among other distinguished archaeologists, for allowing me to be in their shoes, even if it were just for a summer. I know I will leave knowing so much more than I did before, but also have an eternal passion for this field we called archaeology. Ms. Belazny, I'd like to extend my thanks to you and the support that was given to us, the 2013 CRDIP interns. If it weren't for your webinar reminders, I don't know where we'd be. But most importantly, I'd like to thank Mr. Justin Chow and the other SEA employees who helped facilitate as well as help organize my summer internship at the Southeast Archaeological Center. I will always be grateful. Thank you so much.